Hey everyone, I wanted to go over the new and exciting news that we got for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, which is set to release on both the Nintendo Switch and on PC on June 30th. And today we're going to be checking out something extremely special, and that's the fact that we got 11 minutes of brand new gameplay to showcase, thanks to Capcom finally putting up another one of those introduction videos with Yuki Yamada. I believe he's a rather popular Japanese voice actor slash content creator. I hope I'm getting that right, but I know he's rather famous in Japan. So he's kind of done stuff already with Capcom in the past. We did get to see a couple of clips originally through him kind of just being able to play the game, as Capcom gave him access to a certain build of the game. So he was able to upload a couple of clips from that. There was also a developer interview, if I remember correctly. So he's been able to do a couple of things with them. What we are going to be checking out today, and you are seeing the gameplay right now as we speak, you are going to be able to see two specific hunts. First and foremost, there is a hunt with a Lunagaron and a Garangolm in the Citadel. And then we are going to be checking out a hunt of a Seregios in the desert as well. Now, at the same time as this video was posted, we did notice that a couple of outlets here in North America already put up previews for Capcom, kind of like giving them access to the game. So a couple of them mentioned that Capcom basically invited a couple of journalists to the Capcom UK offices to be able to check out this very two same kind of like event quests that are going to be happening in the game, where you get to fight a Lunagaron and the Garangolm in one quest, and then the Seregios in the other quest. So you're most likely going to see a couple of articles here and there posted from certain outlets that did get access specifically to be able to check out these builds. But right now here you're seeing the gameplay first and foremost, where I believe they were not able to record some of it depending on the outlet. All they had was screenshots. But nonetheless, we should actually get into right to the video itself, since there is actually quite a lot to go over. So in the first clip, you do actually get to see him kind of wearing, I believe, Rathalos Master Rank armor. The Palamute that he is using is also wearing Rathalos Master Rank Palamute armor, which looks pretty cool. I definitely like the look of that armor as well. And they very early on do showcase the switch skill swap feature, where they are just kind of showcasing what you are going to be able to do with the switch skill swap. But that's about it. They don't really necessarily get into too much of it right there. I did try to clip out most of the important bits of the gameplay. Again, it's 11 minutes, so it's quite a long time. They do showcase the marionette spider as well, with the ability to be able to kind of like pull monsters into a wall. Essentially, you kind of yank them into a specific direction, so you're going to be able to do that. They do showcase a little bit of the underneath layer area in the Citadel, which we did speak about. We did get to see this very early on in one of the Lost Sword clips that we did get access to before. We did get to see that there was an underground cavern in the Citadel. We do get to see a little bit of that, as Lunagaron is basically laying there sleeping. He kind of wakes it up and begins kind of like walloping at it with, I believe he's using dual blades in this specific clip. He fights a little bit of the Lunagaron himself, and then eventually just kind of they make their way to the top. That specific arena, underground arena in the Citadel, again, we knew that there was an underground layer of the Citadel. We did not necessarily know just how big it was actually going to be, but it's very good to be able to actually see it nonetheless. Eventually, he does make his way to the top, where eventually he will begin to fight a Garangolm. I believe it's the nighttime. So not only do you get to see the purple kind of like hue in the sky as the Malzeno effect, aura effect is in full effect. We do know that now based on some of the descriptions from the monsters themselves that they posted, I believe in one of the Korean blog updates that they posted. We do know that that's Malzeno's influence, that entire purple aura in the Citadel at night. That is Malzeno's doing. Obviously, that has some sort of story implications. We don't necessarily know ultimately how that's all going to be play out. But we do get to see them fighting eventually a little bit of Garangolm. And then it kind of very quickly cuts away into a Garangolm Lunagaron fight, where they do the typical turf war stuff. And then they kind of just begin fighting each other. He kind of mounts the Garangolm a little bit, begins to wail at the Lunagaron. But ultimately, it's just, you know, little bit of fodder here and there, and then he eventually makes his way back to the bottom of the icy, citadel to be able to fight that Lunagaron again. But it just never really completes the hunt. I believe he gets killed in one of the clips, and then it just kind of ends right there abruptly. Sadly, we don't get to see actually the Lunagaron get taken down. When we do eventually see some of the things, is like some of the switch skills that are used in that hunt, but other than that, not really all that much. Again, I think the biggest takeaway from the entire Lunagaron Garangolm clip hunt, if you will, is that we do get to see the underground cavern, specifically in the underground side of the Citadel. I know a lot of people have been speaking about the potential of a new map, the jungle map. I'm gonna make a separate video on that because I just found it very humorous, based off of that Tetranodon clip, I believe is what it was. I definitely want to talk about that soon, but I did see that a lot of people were making a lot of noise regarding the potential addition of a new map, but I'm really not going to get into that here. Transitioning over to, I believe is what they showcase next, is basically just the desert area. There's nothing really surprising there. They do showcase, I do definitely want to point this out, I believe he is using dual blades here, and he's using Lunagaron armor and this time around. And one of the things that I certainly want to point out to you guys to notice is the upper left side of the screen in the beginning, where he's kind of like just making meat. I want you guys to notice that he has a full almost white bar, and then a little bit of a pink bar as well right there, if I'm looking at it correctly. I hope I am. It's a little bit small as I'm editing this video, and it's just so great to be able to see white bar when it comes to like sharpness, and just having that available. We've basically we've been able to have is green and some blue depending on the weapon, but to be able to have white, oh my goodness, that just looks so good. I can't wait to actually have some of that as well, and then finally transition over to being able to fulfill that sharpness based on the weapons that we are going to be able to have access to. Moving over to the actual gameplay that they showcase, he seems that he mounts a Diablos pretty early on, and then he kind of starts welling on Seregios rather early. You do get to see plenty of mounted Diablos action, if you will. But certainly the big star of this specific clip is Seregios himself, as he is one of the new returning monsters, I guess is what Capcom is calling it, as you are certainly getting to see him kind of begin to do some of his attacks. You certainly get to see him do his neck shiver, is what I've seen people describe it as, basically when he kind of enrages and he begins throwing the sharpness skills, the thing that makes you bleed. A lot of people pointed out that the bleed has actually changed, the mechanic has changed. I was originally under the impression that the bleed was very much the same way that it was originally, but it seems like it's more treated like a debuff instead of a typical bleed. So I'm certainly gonna have to look into that a little bit more, because I got probably the wrong impression, as bleed was just kind of like the typical bleed that we had before, where now Malzeno does a bleed debuff and Seregios does an actual bleed. So it's going to be interesting to see how ultimately that actually shakes out to be, but I'm certainly looking forward to seeing more of that as well. Now when it comes to the actual hunt with Seregios, we do get to see plenty of that as well. He's kind of running around. I do notice that he runs quite a lot around. Again, they're not really going to give him a full access to like go ham and just kind of take it out. He is being helped by, I believe, a gun lance user in this specific hunt. They do showcase someone there as well on top of his Palico and his Palamute. So he certainly does have some little bit of help from another hunter, I believe is what I'm looking at here. But again, he's just a lot of running around, not necessarily, fighting the Seregios two head on, kind of whapping at it a little bit, a couple of hits here and there, and then just backing up and making sure he just doesn't get killed, because he certainly doesn't want to die on video and kind of embarrass himself. I certainly understand not wanting to do that, but it's great to certainly see more gameplay of Seregios, and more importantly, again, that Lunagaron and Garangolm clips. The last thing that I do want to close out this video for is, again, we do have now a couple of previews that I did notice before this video is going to go up, where they are basically talking about how Capcom gave access to some of the journalists to be able to do some of the new follow requests. I made a video about that just recently. I spoke a little bit more in depth as to what they're ultimately abilities are going to be with the new follower quest. It seems to be like their rampage is not going to be making a comeback in this game whatsoever. So certainly they are going to be making sure that people are kind of like gravitating more into new follower quests instead of really focusing on trying to do any sort of rampage material, because you know they just really don't care for that anymore. Hopefully when they do another full preview, or more specifically when they give us full access to the demo, which is something that, based on some of the things that I have been hearing as of late, it does seem to be like that is going to be the case. We might end up getting an actual demo before the game drops. Do remember that game reveal season, essentially what used to be called E3 for the better lack of a better word, used to be, or is about to begin, I believe the next week is you know, when we start to see like the Jeff Keighley presentation and stuff like that. I believe the 9th is the date for that, and then right after that it's what typically would have been E3. Capcom would usually have some sort of presentation, or most likely a trailer or two sprinkled within all these type of events. I know PlayStation is going to have an event later today. I don't know if Capcom is going to showcase anything there. They're certainly not going to showcase Sunbreak on there since it's a PlayStation event, but it'll be interesting to see going forward what they do decide to showcase, probably in the Nintendo Direct that we are expecting to see within a couple of weeks. If Nintendo does decide to hold one, which presumably they will, Capcom might actually drop a trailer there. But other than that, you know, we're still, you know, at the mercy of them showcasing a new trailer and hopefully, of course, more new monsters. But that's about all the information that I wanted to go over for you guys today. If you are brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.